Das Forum Nordicum wird unterstützt durch die deutsche Avia Mineralöl GmbH.
Good morning, everyone. I will give you a few updates for cross-country skiing. And I will be very clear that we have behind us a very challenging season. That was last winter for us. Very difficult because we had to cancel some events due to the COVID situation, and at the end of the season due to the war in Ukraine. So I have to admit that this past season was one of the most challenging seasons for cross-country skiing. That said, it was also some positive developments, especially on the women's side, with more tight competitions, more nations fighting for the podium. And at the Olympics, 2 medals for the German team, which is very good news for cross-country skiing, to see some very important teams coming back to the top of the list. Beside the results, I will not go into details in terms of the challenges. I think we all know what happened. But of course, that was also for us a signal that cross-country needs to move a little bit. And I think that we have done in the spring a few important decisions that were pending since years, discussed since years in the cross-country committee. And maybe this challenging season was a signal to everyone that finally we need to take decisions. So I will go through the most important decision we have taken. And the first one is that we have decided that the women and the men will race on the same distances. That's also something which is not new, but we got in the committee from the nations a strong support for that. You have probably seen in the media that some athletes are complaining, which was for us a little bit a surprise because every year, since a few years, we are asking this question to both the women and the men. Do you want to have the same distances for both genders? And until this year, the feedback was extremely positive. It came to a majority last year, and that's why we pushed a bit this item in the spring. And afterwards, then we got quite some negative comments. But it's surprising, but at the same time, it's not surprising because every time that some important steps are done, the current athletes are a bit disturbed in their routines, and at the end, of course, a bit getting against the change. We could see that with the introduction of some race formats, with its selection in the spring competitions in the past. So this is not very surprising for us to have kind of resistance from the athletes. But we are convinced that it will very quickly appear as a natural and logical move, and that this item will not be discussed anymore very quickly. Most important is, in my opinion, that was a great opportunity to streamline the race program for cross-country skiing. Because when we started from the point that we will race the same distances, then we had to open the discussions on the distances that we are racing. And in the previous years, if you combine the type of start, the distance, the style, classic and free, you can end up with between 25 to 30 different formats. So that was a great opportunity to reduce that, to streamline this. And we have decided to test during the upcoming winter at the World Cup level to use standard distance, sprint, 10K, 20K, and twice during the year in the World Champs and the World Cup, the 50K. That's also something which is not received with the same enthusiasm by everyone, but we need to test such things, and we really believe that having less formats, more predictability for the viewers will really help with the visibility of cross-country skiing. The third decision was to develop and promote team events. As you will see in the calendar later, we have included 5 team events, including 3 of them will be mixed team events in the World Cup calendar, which is much more than what we had in the past. And we all know that the team spirit is appreciated by the viewers, but also by the teams. It's the best way to build up the teams, and we know that cross-country skiing needs to build up some teams in more countries. Connected to this, we have we will discuss next week some improvement of the team sprint format. The proposal is to move from semifinals to individual qualifications. This is something that we have tested in Falun last year, and where we got very positive feedback from athletes and also the audience. We will, beside that, keep the format itself. The finals will still be with 3 athletes, same gender, 3 laps each. But we will qualify 15 teams instead of 10, so that means more visibility for more nations. And we will have an elimination at 2 times during the race to push the athletes to push from the start to the finish of the race, and to avoid having team sprint a bit boring with athletes skiing together and just fighting in the last 2 laps. So this system will be discussed next week. We will test it at the World Cup level, and then we will see how we can implement that
Nordicum wird unterstützt durch die deutsche Avia Mineralöl GmbH.
I cannot tell you today if it will be the case in Planica 23 or if we will keep the current system with the semifinals. Next point is the calendar planning, and here again we have made huge steps this year. As you know, since many years we have a lot of complaints from everyone that our calendar is too busy, is a lot of travels, it's too expensive. And finally, after in 21 having decided a few principles for the calendar planning, we came to some concrete decision in the implementation of these principles. So the calendar will be organized by blocks in different regions. So we will not anymore go from Scandinavia to Middle Europe and back to Scandinavia and back to Middle Europe and maybe go to US or back to Scandinavia like we were doing too many times in the past. Now we will start in Scandinavia, go down to Middle Europe and up again to Scandinavia. That's the plan for next year. And we will really believe, and I think that the nations are really positive on this, that this is a huge improvement for the travels, smooth travels, less travels, and at the end of the day will help more teams to come to more World Cup events. In general, we also plan to have more competition per venue. That was also a strong request from especially athletes. So you will see in the calendar that we have most of the venues with 3 events. And in this frame, we can organize a more standard program as well. So that means each World Cup event will have a sprint, an interval start on 10K mostly, and a mass start or a team event. And this coming back every weekend, we really believe that it will give more predictability for the viewers, that will better understand what is cross-country skiing and what they can expect when they are switching on the TV and watching us. So here is the plan. I will not go through in detail, but you can see, as I said, that we have mostly 3 competitions per weekend, that we almost have always this sprint, 20K in skiathlon or mass start, and the interval start on 10K. The only exception is during Tour de Ski, because we cannot have too many 20Ks in Tour de Ski if we want to have athletes at the start and in the finish. So we need to have a certain flexibility there. But for the rest, it's quite consistent with also mixed relays, mixed team sprint, and gender-specific relays for the season. So we really believe that this calendar is a good tool, a good base to increase the visibility of cross-country skiing by more predictability, as I said before, but also to guarantee more participation from the athletes. The next thing that was discussed and is also quite important is to have a new World Cup point system. We will still give 100 points to the winner, but we will give points to the top 50 instead of the top 30 before. And we will drastically reduce the gap the point gaps between the top positions. We made, so here is the table. You can see on the left the previous system, and on the right the new system. Yeah, of course, it's just a table. It's hard to see what it will give at the end, but we made quite a few simulations. I have included here only a few slides, but we made it for the last 10 years to see what would have been the effect of the new table on the rankings. And our conclusion is that, of course, since the gaps between the top positions are much smaller, we have a fight for the overall longer during the season. We still have the athletes winning World Cups in the top, that's for sure. It's still very important to win, but the fight for the overall is really increased. And here you see the flat part at the end, which is connected to the fact that these athletes were not racing due to the situation that we all know. But in overall, we can see on the bottom of the screen that this is much more compact than on the top. That's for the men. For the women, it gives even a different winner because it's not such an advantage to win a race compared to being on the podium today. And you can see that some athletes, for example, Ebba Andersson, she is third in the overall with the previous system, and with the new system she would have been 9. When at the same time someone like Feinrich was 13 and would jump up to the top 10. And this is the explanation of that is that Ebba Andersson was racing only a few competitions when Feinrich was almost there every weekend. So attendance to the World Cup stages will definitely be a benefit for athletes. So we really believe that it will help in this sense. Another one from 2021, where you can see, for example, Klæbo, same reason. He was only in Ruka, Falun, and Engadin, and he was still able to be in the top 3 of the overall ranking. So we really want here to push the participation, to promote the participation. So as a summary, we will have smaller gaps, longer battles for the overall standings. We will give a higher value to regularity and attendance to the World Cups. Still, Tour de Ski has, even if we will give only 300 points for the overall standing of Tour de Ski instead of 400, Tour de Ski still have a very high value. So if you are not coming to Tour de Ski, you still lose a lot of points due to the fact that you will also score more points during the races and not only based on the overall. We give, of course, more opportunities to more nations to score some points, and we know that in some nations this is extremely important to have athletes scoring points. When they come at the end of the season to their sport ministry and asking for financial support, it's not the same story if you have nothing to show or if you have to show some World Cup points in your statistics. And the fact that we will give also 50 to the top 50 some points will also give a higher value for the sprinters to go to the distance races, because they can for sure easily more easily reach the top 50 than the top 30, and opposite way as well for the distance athletes to start in the sprint, because it's very difficult to qualify as a pure distance guy in a sprint, but to score points in the top 50 is something which is much more open. So in overall, our expectations are to have a system that will push the athletes to really participate to more events, which was clearly one of the weaknesses of cross-country skiing, with athletes just selecting a few races and the major championships to organize their season. Two other decisions. We have a quite good situation in cross-country skiing in terms of gender equity or gender balance with athletes, but it's definitely not the same situation for the staff. So we have decided to promote female staff members in the teams by giving additional course bips. So if you are not familiar with that, the course bips are the way for the teams to test skis before the race. They need to have these bips to be able to go on the course. The basic quota for the top 20 nations is 4 bips, and here, if you bring female athletes, you will get 2 more to be used by the female, not athletes, sorry, staff. You get 2 more. So this is a quite significant possibility to really give a better service to your team if you play this card. And same, we want to push the big nations to support the small nations, like Lasse said as well. So we have also decided to give 2 additional bips for the nations who are signing a cooperation agreement with a smaller nation. So for example, it's been the case in the past between Norway and Great Britain. Now this cooperation, for example, will also include Latvia. Finland is working with Estonia, so there are quite a few of this cooperation on the field, and here again they will get these extra bips, so this extra advantage in the preparation of the equipment. So in total, a big nation, if they bring women, if they help a smaller nation, they can double their number of possibilities for their service team, which is quite significant. I'm done. If you have any questions, I'm ready to answer. Yeah.
Stop. Just a second, please. We need a microphone because we are here in the stream, and so the young lady is bringing you the mic.
What will the FIS do with the Russian and Belarusian athletes?
So I will do like Sandro, and just after me, Michel will come here, and I think we'll be able to give you a clear answer.
Thank you. Other questions?
Yes, you have increased the number of the points for the first 50. Will there be an increase of prize money as well for more athletes?
No, the same number of athletes will get prize money, but the prize money will be increased. It was also a decision from the FIS Council. I think Michel might come back on this, but we still give prize money to the top 20.
Michel, from my side, only the question is a difference in the rules for the sprint competition, or the places 31 till 50 are for the time then?
Yeah, it's the same. So the athletes are anywhere ranked until the end, according to the qualification time. So yes, 31 to 50 will get the points according to the qualification time, which will also give importance to the qualification.
Das Forum Nordicum wird unterstützt durch die deutsche Avia Mineralöl GmbH.